Welcome to Meet, Act, and Part, a Masonic podcast hosted by Midnight Freemasons Greg Knott, Darin Larners, Todd Creason, and Bill Hostler. The views, opinions and experiences that are expressed by the hosts or guests as individual Freemasons do not reflect the official position of any Grand Lodge, appendant body, or Masonic authority to which the hosts or guests belong. And now on with the show.
Hey, welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Meet, Act, and Part. Hey, it's summer 2023 as of 2 or 3 days ago as we record this. But before we talk about summer and whatever else, we'll introduce ourselves. I'm one of your co-hosts, Greg Knott.
I'm Bill Hostler.
And I'm Darin Larners. Bill apparently had too many ciggies today, so
I think it was not enough.
Well, that's one way we'll get by summer, right? Is to
I'll keep that in the audio also, so the joke works.
Yeah, otherwise it'd be kind of like, what the heck are they talking about?
I know. Well, that's sort of the theme of this whole episode is we're just sort of catching up. We haven't recorded in a while, and lots of activity for us, Masonic and maybe non-Masonic both, since we sort of talked to everyone last. And I'm going to start with Darin because he's, I think, got the biggest news of all. At least Bill and I think so. Anyway, it's Darin has gotten married, and Darin, you went out, not only got married, but you went to Maine and some other things in the Northeast, and you tied in some Masonic adventures in there as you went. So
And the woman actually knew she was getting married, and she wasn't like forced into the back of a van to get there.
Well, that depends. That depends, Bill, on which day you ask her about me. So right now, I think she claims she married me of her own free will and accord. I would hope, but
I hope so.
Other days she may claim that I shoved her in the back of the panel or the windowless panel van that had free candy on the side of it.
We'll just see if she blinks her SOS with her eyelids. Right. We'll see.
I'll ask her really quick. Honey, blink it SOS if you're being held against your will.
I see it. SOS.
I don't see any blinking, so I think we're good.
And she's still alive then, right?
She is, yeah. Okay. She's in the other room. She's ignoring me at the moment, which is atypical because
I think all three of us have that going on.
I can be quite annoying. So, but yeah, to Greg's point, my lovely, beautiful, amazing wife, Lisa, her girlfriend, her fiance at that time, and now my wife, Lisa, and I eloped to Maine. We flew into Boston and rented a car and drove up to Bangor, spent the night in Bangor, and then went to Bar Harbor and Acadia National Park. And then we got married on that Monday in York in front of the lighthouse, and just a beautiful, wonderful, amazing day. She looked amazing. I looked like a troll, but that's luckily we have some pictures on a bridge, so just to go with the whole troll thing.
And she didn't shove you off of it, so.
She did not. She had ample opportunity to get rid of me because, we were, especially at Acadia National Park, we went up Cadillac Mountain, it's called there. It's one of the higher peaks there in the park. And she could have just did me in right there, then and there, but didn't. So, which she may, end up regretting at some point, I'm sure.
Well, once the insurance policy's fully involved.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. That's very true, Bill. That's very true. But yeah, so on the way from Bangor to Acadia, we were just putting along, and in the middle of nowhere, Maine, on a corner of an intersection was their Grand Lodge building. So I stopped and got a few pictures there, and left my card with a pin from the Education Committee of Illinois. And then we went on our merry way toward the national park in Bar Harbor, and as I said, the next day we went down through Portland, Maine. I stopped in, and I'm going to forget what town it is now, but we stopped at the grave of General Joshua Chamberlain, and he is buried in the same town of the college that he was president of for many years before he was governor of Maine. And as again, I will have to put this in the show notes because off the top of my head, I'm having a very difficult time remembering what that town's name was. But so we went and visited his grave, and that was pretty extraordinary. And like I said, we went to Portland. We saw some lighthouses there. Went to International Cryptology Museum in Portland, and that was actually founded by a gentleman. His name's Lauren Wiseman, and he's actually from Decatur, Illinois. So he's grew up not too far from where Greg and I live. And if you want more about that side of the trip, you can, shameless plug here, you can go to Beyond the Fourth Veil on YouTube and see Robert Johnson's and I podcast about the supernatural and other phenomenon. We just recorded an episode and it dropped sometime this past week or the week before, but it goes through pictures I took of that sort of side of things. As I said, the next day we were married in York in front of...
And Brother Chamberlain's buried in Brunswick, Maine.
Yes, that was it, Brunswick. Thank you. And we were married in front of Nubble Lighthouse there in York. It's actually technically York Beach, Maine, but we were married it's called Sawyer Park, and we were married on the rocks, and the lighthouse is on an island there across from Sawyer Park, Nubble Lighthouse, and it's a beautiful lighthouse in York Beach. Look it up on Google, you'll see how beautiful it is. So we after our marriage, we drove up to Burlington, Vermont, and went to Burlington, checked out Lake Champlain and some of the sites in Burlington. And on the way, we stopped in I think it's called Williston, but there's a Ben & Jerry's factory tour there, which we partook in. And that was interesting to see how, Ben & Jerry's is made. On the way there, we did end up having breakfast in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And one of the interesting things I found, especially there on the East Coast, is they have signs regarding when Lafayette came back from France after the Revolution and did his tour. And there are different markers marking the occasion of, the things he did. So I saw a few of those on the way, which was really kind of fascinating. The big Masonic stuff was obviously near Boston. We went to Lexington and toured. It's called Minuteman National Park there, and it's essentially the path that Most Worshipful Brother Paul Revere took from between Lexington and Concord, and kind of the his journey between those two cities kind of encompasses what's made of what the park is. And that was neat to see. We went to the Northern Masonic Jurisdiction headquarters and museum in Lexington, so I was able to see our beautiful Valley Danville window, which is the stained glass window that the Scottish Rite Valley that Greg and I belong to donated to the museum. And it's I think I would say their pride and joy. Unfortunately, Greg and I discussed, they put a bench right in front of it, which, I can understand. You can sit on the bench and look at the window. But the problem is with pictures, you got this silly bench in the way. And so you can't capture all the details of the bottom of the window, unfortunately. But that was amazing. There was just a lot of stuff there. I think probably the highlight, other than the window, was seeing the jewels that Paul Revere had made out of silver for the officers of his lodge. And did a tour of Boston our last day there, and was able to see North Church, Paul Revere's house, all of that. It was really incredible. And to plug our guest, who we'll actually be recording with tomorrow, I met him outside of the Masonic Temple in Salem when I was taking pictures of it, and they had a stated meeting, which I had no idea they had a stated, but I was able to meet this brother and find out about the project he's involved with, and we'll be discussing that tomorrow night. But yeah, it was just awesome trip. Had an awesome time. I just thank Lisa for indulging me in my hobbies, which are very peculiar to some people, I'm sure. So I just love her to death. I'm so happy to be able to be her husband, and it was just an awesome experience, and can't imagine having that trip with anybody else. So,
Well, that's great. I mean, Darin sent me a few pictures along the way, and then he posted some on, I think, Facebook and whatever, but just quite a trip. And the whole Northeast is just simply beautiful. And it's really amazing how much you can see, and the varied landscapes from Maine, to Massachusetts and the other spots you visited. I went to Boston one time and did, Darin, part of what you did, that the Freedom Trail. Freedom
yes.
Trail is a very unique thing that's literally marked throughout the city of Boston. But I happened to stop at the Grand Lodge building, and they actually have a Masonic version of that Freedom Trail. And of course, many of the spots are the same, since there's so much interconnectivity between, the founding of the country and Freemasonry. But just very, very interesting city.
Yeah, I did stop at the Grand Lodge building. Unfortunately, they closed for tours, but I did get was able to sneak a few pictures. And also, I forgot to mention, visited Prince Hall's grave there on.
That's
what is that?
Sort of a humbling sight to go see that grave of his, and all the history that is transformed, taken place since that time, and almost 250 years. Right at it.
Yeah, and our good friend Robert Johnson, speaking of 250 years, is part of a committee. He's plural out in Grand Lodge, Massachusetts, and he's on their 250th anniversary committee. So they are planning various activities to culminate with the 250th anniversary, I believe, of the Boston Tea Party, and they're going to do a Boston Tea Party reenactment. So, and from what I've heard, the Grand Master of United Grand Lodge of England is coming over for it to participate in it. So I think I'm going to try to get out there for that, because I think that's going to be an awesome time.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a fabulous trip, Darin. Again, I'm sure Bill feels the same way. We congratulate you on getting married and wish you and Lisa, of course, nothing but the best. And, my only advice is just do what you're told. I've been working on you with that for a few years, and I think the training's going well. So
always works.
So, Bill, what you been up to? What's we talked on the phone a couple times, but anyway, what all's been going on?
Well, it's been an unusual spring/summer. About almost 2 months ago, I was getting my regular eye injection at my local retina specialist, and the first day, my eye's always cloudy after that, because, it's got this medicine that's being pumped through it and such. And so I didn't think anything about it, but the next day it stayed just as blurry, and it continued to be blurry. And that worried me a little bit, since I only have one eye. I'm usually pretty protective of that eye. And so I went back to the retina specialist, and they're going like, I don't know, go see your glaucoma specialist, because I have one of those too. And she's like, I don't know. Let me bring in this other doctor. And so he looked at it, and he thought that what it was, instead of my high eye pressure, what you normally have with what brings on the glaucoma, mine was too low now. So he gave me some things to check out, and he said to follow up with this specialist in 2 weeks. And so I did. And then I found out, after speaking to the specialist, that basically I'm going to have a cornea transplant, or at least a partial cornea transplant. From what he explained to me is that there's a certain little part of the eye that it kind of deteriorates if you mess with it too much. Well, after like 4 eye operations in that eye, and every 2 months for nearly a decade getting injections in the eye, this little section, I wish I could remember the name of it, just kind of checks out. And so what I'm guessing is that last injection I had was kind of like one toke over the line. And so it was like, now I'm going to have this operation. But honestly, from what I hear, I know it's going to be challenging, but from what I hear, it's going to, it might really be for the positive. But while this was going on, Tammy and I took a trip up to Grand Rapids, Michigan in May, beginning of May for it. They had a Scottish Rite reunion up there. And this Scottish Rite reunion, which pretty much was entailed all of Michigan, they have kind of an unusual setup up there because they only have one valley now. They consolidated all their valleys, and then each section of the state has a district. Well, I was going to the Northwest District, I think is what they call it. Anyway, I seen the last 2 degrees I needed to fulfill my golden passport, so I'm waiting on the medal and the certificate for that. And so that was interesting. And while we were there, we went and visited the President Jerry Ford's Presidential Museum, and I thought about stopping talking to you guys on the way back, but we wanted to get home because we had some prior engagements we had to, and stopped in Normal, Illinois, and went and had some really awesome Cajun chicken at this place that I knew of in North Carolina. But the rest of the summer, I've just pretty much been here in the house. I can't really read any longer. I'm looking at my keypad on my computer, and I do not see anything on it. It looks like it's just wiped clean of all characters. And so I really can't use my computer very much. This is probably the most I've used it in a couple months. And so I just kind of sit, and I can kind of still see my iPad somewhat. So I'll just sit and watch TikTok videos or YouTube videos. And if I try to send a text message, but usually right now, if I do, it becomes gibberish, and it takes me 20 minutes to get that typed out. So I've just been kind of incommunicado. And so I thought about creating a video and posting it on my social media, telling everybody that I am still alive and stop the celebrations of the rumors of my impending death, in the streets. So that, that way, we can keep the country safe. But that's pretty much been my life in a nutshell. I, go out and swim.
Bill, I don't know, Bill, that it sounds like your life is really that much different than 2/3 of America if you're watching TikTok and YouTube videos all the time. That's
pretty much yeah, just it's not as clear as what they used to be. I'd say you're right on schedule with most everybody else. So, but I've got like several other possible surgeries has to happen this summer. So if you remember Seinfeld, they had the Summer of George. Well, mine's the Summer of Surgery. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Well, I had a high school classmate. He's had similar things and had the corneal transplants, and it really, helped him. Of course, he drives and everything now, and so I don't know exactly if his condition was the same, but there's a lot of, medical success stories that are out there, and I'm sure you'll be one of them when they get through the various surgeries and processes, anything, it's just I'm sure it's a tiresome journey.
It's been challenging, but I'll tell you, it's made me really reflective in a lot of things on top of it, though. And so in a way, it's kind of like I think I've been blessed in a way because I've gotten to think about things and make some observances that I never would have if I wouldn't have had this issue. So, there's a silver lining in everything. And for once, the light in the at the end of the tunnel for me isn't a train. So, so I'm just going to roll on and see where the God takes it. That's all I can do.
Well, Bill, of course, obviously, Darin and I support you 100%, whatever you need. And
absolutely
thinking about you on this journey. And obviously, you've been a huge ongoing help with the Midnight Freemasons and, all the other stuff. And Darin and I and others will help pick up the slack on that until such a time as maybe you want. Capable of doing more, and all that really in the scheme of anything is minor, as you say, Bill, it gives you time to reflect on really what matters. And a lot of this other stuff just doesn't, in the scheme of things.
Well, it's mattered a lot to me because a lot of my life revolves right now, has for about a decade now, revolved around the Midnight Freemasons and trying to do that. But so it kind of stings. I feel like I'm letting people down and a lot of stuff.
You're not,
stuff that I do.
You're not letting anybody down.
There's a lot of folks don't know.
Darin, maybe, speaking of the Midnight Freemasons, Darin, you've changed the publishing schedule. And I think it's just part of the evolution of of the product itself. And I don't know, Darin, if you want to mention what's going to go on or is going forward with the Midnight Freemasons.
Yeah, please do, because this is the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, well, you've been incommunicado. So I discussed with the founder of the blog, Ted Creason, regarding changing the publishing schedule, and we have changed it to now we're just going to publish articles every Wednesday. So we're going from 3 times a week to 1 time a week. That'll help with giving contributors time to submit new articles, giving me enough time to get them all scheduled, and then also now with helping with some of the social media responsibilities, it'll lessen that as well. So RJ made me admin of their Facebook page, so I spent the day going through going through old comments and just trying to clean up that sort of nonsense, and trying to put filters on there to keep the Illuminati, quote unquote Illuminati, from commenting on every other post that we have on there.
That'll take half your day.
Right. So that's what's going on with the blog. I had made an announcement, and then I actually also posted on their Facebook page today since I got access to that. So
and I think part of that is just it's sort of the evolution of the product. I mean, in other words, when Todd started the Midnight Freemasons, Facebook and many of these other things, they were either barely started or they weren't the mainstays they are today. And though I think I'm sure the website still gets plenty of traffic, it's just, people's attention is elsewhere. And I guess us as authors, we haven't spent as much time on it as we could. So I think it's a good thing. And it helped Darin's workload and keeps the product still out there. And if you've never visited that website, just search Midnight Freemasons. There's over, I think, 2,000 articles out there in the archive. And there's a search box on the website, and there's just infinite amount of Masonic material that you can use for lodge education or just self-education or whatever. And the beauty about that blog is it's run a wide spectrum of topics, anywhere from deeply philosophic, deeply esoteric, to light history, to travel, just really a lot of neat things. And I know the three of us have met a lot of people through it, either virtually or in person. And I think it's a wonderful thing. And, hopefully, just speaking for me personally, I'll get hopefully re-energized here in the next year and start contributing. I sort of ran out of gas, and I was struggling for topics to write on. And thank goodness Darin has literally filled the cup numerous times with articles when we needed them. And I've just struggled. It's like having writer's block for some reason. I haven't done as much on it the last year or two, and hopefully I'll unlock the logjam that sometimes happens and contribute more. So
right, and I've also been able to recently bring in some newer, younger writers as well. So it adds another fresh perspective to the blog. And that's the beauty of it, is that, we have had many contributors over the years, and each of them with a unique kind of voice and topics that they like to write about. So I have always encouraged any brother that asks me about the blog to, submit articles. Sometimes they come through, sometimes they don't. But if you are interested in submitting something to the blog, you can message the Facebook page or whatever, and I'll get in touch with you and we can start that journey. But
I don't know if it's still live. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but there was a submissions at midnightfreemasons.com email address. When I have the ability to, I will look at that to make sure that's still active.
I think a lot of the Midnight Freemason stuff, I don't know if Todd kept the domain name, but I've been told, and I've not asked him about it, but I've been told that some emails that were sent to that domain have bounced. So I don't know what's up with it. But
really, because I'm the guy that hosts it, so I'll have to let me
know. I don't know. That's just what I've been told, Bill. And like I said, I've not really researched it. Right. But I mean, in any case, once you're back up to snuff, we can get things sorted out. But that's we're not. There's no rush for that. Obviously, we want you to get healthy and that. But end of the day, that's the most important thing, is your health, and the rest of it can wait. For that.
Yeah.
Well, I think Greg ought to tell his big news that has happened to him here recently.
Well, I retired. And so I crossed that bridge. Late last summer, I decided I was going to retire, and so gave plenty of notice, and actually worked with my successor for 4 months to get him up to speed. And so sort of, it's a definite change. It's funny. I always thought about that day, and then all of a sudden there it was. And so I finished. So I had 35 years of combined service with mainly the University of Illinois in a variety of capacities. And so I just decided it was time to go on. It's funny. The first couple of weeks, you wake up thinking, it's sort of vacation. And by week 3 and 4, you're like, that's weird. I'm not going back. And then now here, it's been practically 2 months by the time as we record this. I'm like, I'm not sure I miss it as much as I thought. So, and I'm thinking, well, I've always been hyper active in everything I've ever done. And so I was worried about what am I going to do with my time? And then all of a sudden I look back in 2 months, and our little town, we started a new Sons of the American Legion. And so we worked with the local CBS affiliate and had a big fundraiser for what's called Operation Honor Guard. We did flag retirements. We've done some other ceremonies with that, and then took up golf. So I've played probably 10 rounds of golf already, which is 10 more than I'd played in the last 15 years. And I started shooting. I've always liked taking pictures. And so I've gotten deeper into photography, and I've been to 3 air shows. I went to one yesterday as we record this, and took the Thunderbirds were there, and I took a lot of pictures of the Thunderbirds. So I'm in the process of learning Photoshop and Lightroom and all those good things, and learning how to. I've learned already, if you take better pictures in the camera, you don't have to waste a bunch of time afterwards. But that's a harsh lesson that I'm learning. So anyway, doing more with photography. We've got a place in Kentucky, so I've been down there a bunch. Anyway, I guess you sort of get the idea that I haven't sat home very much. And so I got more stuff coming. I'm still active Masonically. We've had lodge officer installations at the various lodges here locally. There's a new grotto started in our area, Illini Grotto, and at some point we'll have Vance Martin on. He was sort of the organizer of it. So actually Vance and I worked together. So I was like, yeah, I'll join so you can get enough for the charter members. So I joined one more thing. What's one more at this point, right? But we got a neat fez. A really neat fez. It says, it's Illini. If you're not familiar with what the heck Illini, Illini, that is the nickname for the University of Illinois Fighting Illini. And so if you grew up in East Central Illinois, Illini is a big deal. So anyway, Grotto's going, and Vance has got it really strong already. So that's been a lot of fun. And then just, I'll be honest, I was wound so tight. I found from that job that I've been unwinding and, trying to de-stress. It was a stressful job, just for what I did. And, that's a good thing too. And so it's amazing, Bill. I think like you mentioned, when you have more time to reflect, you can think about a lot of things. And some of the
your
things
writing will get better too.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think because he knows I've been scatterbrained the last probably 3 or 4 years just because I had too much going, and I knew it. I wouldn't admit it. I finally did. And as I unwind all that, you sort of learn to do different things in a different order. So that's a long-winded way of saying, yep, I retired and hung it up.
Now, there's just one thing that worries me, and for all of this. Now that you're retired, you're on a fixed income. So I guess now we're going to have to pass a hat for your dues, or you're going to be one of these that don't want to raise them because you're on a fixed income.
That's right. Yeah, I'm on a fixed income. So, that's right. Darin, I'll just send you all my dues notices. Just take it out of the Midnight Freemasons treasury.
Yeah, the big treasury that we have here at the Midnight Freemasons of zero. Although,
I gave a speech one time, and somebody asked me how much money we make, and I said, honestly, it costs all of us because there's not a dang dime that goes into it.
Yeah, and it'd be easy to monetize it. Don't get me wrong, if we wanted to go that route, but I don't want. I think it's a blessing, especially with that site and what we do. I don't want any involvement in ads, cluttering up any of that. So,
and I think it's existed and flourished because we didn't try to
Probably. I
monetize
mean,
it.
probably early on, and it's just been kept that way, and we'll keep it that way. As Bill said, I think if we ever honestly ran into an issue where we needed to raise some funds, we probably could get enough people to contribute if we needed it. But at this point, none of us we're not in that situation. I don't hopefully ever see us being in it, unless Facebook and decides to start charging or whatever. Since everything's going to this monetization model, we'll see. But
yeah, no doubt.
Well,
that's so for our listeners, we appreciate everybody listening. So that's sort of the catch up for what Bill and Darin and I have been doing. We're going to work on some new episodes for you this summer. We're recording another one this week that Darin alluded to earlier. So that'll be the start of hopefully several. And, if you've got a topic you'd like us to cover, or if you've got a guest that you would suggest, you can reach out to through the Facebook page and get a hold of us, and we'll do that. It's sometimes other than ourselves, we wonder, does anybody listen? Well, all of a sudden you'll hear people through our various Masonic journeys that say, "Oh yeah, I've listened to you guys," and so we appreciate it. I know I listen to a lot of podcasts, and it's like all the hosts on there, they all appreciate their audience. And so we are equally grateful for each and every single one of you that listen.
All three of you that listen to us, we are very...
Yeah.
I kid.
So Darin, any final wrap-ups? We're going to make this a short episode. Anything else you want to add?
I just had something and I've lost it, so that's par for the course. But I did want to add one thing. I was able to meet in person Eric Marks, former Midnight Freemason contributor in Boston, and Eric and I have been good friends since his contributing days, and hopefully he may at some point have some more material to contribute. So yeah, Eric is just amazing individual. I love that brother so much. So I was so happy to get to spend just a little bit of time with him on our trip. Lisa and I had dinner with him, and just awesome time with him. He's just I can't speak. He's just awesome. I mean, I can't even express how great a brother he is. So that was amazing.
Bill, any final thoughts on this little short episode?
Honestly, no. I think we covered just about everything, which was going to be a show about nothing, and I think we nailed that.
Yeah,
awesome.
I think we got the Seinfeld theme down. So I don't have anything else either, other than saying thank you again for listening. This has been another exciting episode of Meet, Act, and Part.
Thank you for listening to Meet, Act, and Part. For more information about our show, visit our website at www.meetactandpart.com. While there, please consider supporting the show by sponsoring us on Patreon. Until we meet again, may we meet, act, and part.